Hello there everyone, welcome to part 3 of drawing all 64, yes, a whole stack, of my own original characters. The previous episodes aren't required to watch first, but will be linked below if you want to check them out. Now let's get into the video. Neo and the next two OCs that I'll be drawing will be a part of the Masquerade story that Ace in the first episode was a part of. The Masquerade is both the name of the story and the name of what's kind of like a mafia, I guess? Maybe it's more like a gang. I'm not really sure what the proper terminology is. Just go with a villain organization, I guess. Anyways, the Masquerade is an organization that uses its superior technology to keep the government on its toes. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic dystopian type world where toxic gases have overrun the earth and now people live in these domes. These domes kind of act like cities. And Neo, the character I'm drawing, is a part of the Masquerade organization. She was taken in when she was young and is a part of the main cast's team. The team is made up of Japheth, the leader, J for short, who I will be drawing next, Cody, Scout, and her. She's kind of their hacker, and she uses a gas mask in the shape of a cat's face. All of the Masquerade uses gas masks, and typically it's made to mimic some sort of animal. And she's also, well, a little crazy, if I have to put it nicely. Or maybe unstable would be a better word. Due to her past and then her time with the Masquerade, she's not doing well in the head, let's say. But she does care deeply for the rest of her team, who I mentioned earlier. I'm not really sure if I'm explaining her personality the best, to be honest. But I have, like, a clear idea in my head, but I don't know how to put it into words. But yeah, I really like Neo. Jay, or Japheth, I'll put a picture of his face since he's wearing a mask right now, is the leader of his squad, and he's also the main character in the Masquerade story. His father is a part of the Masquerade and is what I call the Masquerade's puppet leader. Basically, Jay's father is presumed to be the leader by all of the other factions. Due to Jay being in the Masquerade from a young age, he's one of their more skilled members. The main story is made up of Jay trying to take down the city heads, or the gang leaders, things like that. He's a smart and clever guy, but he's a little more flamboyant, I guess? Sarcastic? I don't know, you know the drill. I really like how the art in this one turned out. I made the background mostly greenish to have a really nice contrast from Japheth's mostly black and pink palette, or black and red pink palette. I kind of pictured this piece to be happening in some sort of subway. Jay has found and taken care of his target. Oh, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Masquerade, it uses a lot of toxic gases found outside the domes, and some of them condense into a spray paint-like substance, and they'll use that as a call sign, or they'll weaponize it, things like that. Yeah. Alright. Okay, moving on to our next Masquerade member. Now this is Dyer, and is the real leader of the Masquerade. He pulls strings and plays characters to keep the dome under his thumb, and is also one of the main obstacles facing Japheth. And yeah, I don't if I ever do make this into some sort of story, then I don't want to spoil too much about it, so I don't really want to say a lot about his character, especially since most of it is just story related and not his personality related. It's not related to his personality. The art with this one, it's pretty simple, as I had a few other art pieces, and well, with over 60 drawings in about 46 days, yeah, that's the time frame I finished the art, I gotta give myself, a few or, several easy ones. Okay, moving on to my more fantastical world of Zanadia, this is Commander Eve of the 2nd Battalion. She's known as a capable, level-headed, and compassionate leader, and has a calming personality that contrasts with her fierceness in battle. This art took me so long, and I have no idea why. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. I was trying out a thin line brush, so it did take me a little while to get that down. And then I realized that Eve is a very new OC, and I only recently drew her face and the 10, okay, so basically there's 10 commanders besides Dane, who's in the first episode. And I just drew them, like made up their designs like a week prior to deciding to do this challenge. So I didn't have her armor designed, I only had her face. So I kind of just decided on her armor on the fly, which I don't recommend. While I'm fine with how it looks, I think that I'll redesign this armor and armor for the other commander's armor to give them something more unique and not just a recolor of Dane's armor. Overall, I like the feeling of this piece. I think the aftermath of a battle always makes for a sweet art piece. And Eve, I like her design. I love her hair. I don't really use that color a lot, but I think it looks really nice. Randall is another commander, and he is the 8th Battalion leader. And to be honest, I don't have a lot for him, because as I said earlier, I created most of the commanders just before I decided to actually do this challenge, so they're not the most developed. But Randall is a reliable and friendly comrade to his fellow commanders. Since I had just designed the commander's basic features like a week before this, I wanted to learn from my mistake with Eve and actually design a commander's uniform, specifically because I knew I was probably going to give another uniform to these commanders. I wanted all the commanders to have like a formal outfit that they could wear. Alright, now we have Rosalyn. And Rosalyn is Dane's wife, and, I drew him, like I said, in episode 1, and in several other videos. She was the mayor's daughter, and after meeting Dane, who was a commoner at the time, fell for him. Unfortunately, Rosalyn's father wouldn't allow it, of course, because Dane was a commoner, Rosalyn was a noble, so yeah. And Dane ended up going on an expedition of sorts. I don't want to spoil too much. Like I said, if I ever do decide to make these, I would rather do them like through animation or some sort of comic, maybe, hopefully, one day. But yeah, so I don't want to spoil too much, so that's all you'll get for like main story bits. But Rosalyn is a skilled diplomat. She's well versed when it comes to the royal court and is known by the people for her kind-heartedness. And Rosalyn, I don't know, I just love drawing her. She's just so fun to draw. I feel like every time I draw Rosalyn, I feel like I just have a good time every time I draw Rosalyn. So yeah, I really like the art for this one. While I was drawing it, I wasn't so sure how I was going to feel about it, but I think it turned out pretty nice. I wanted a slightly haunting picture and thought that a dark mirror with all the hands of some maids would kind of sell the look I was wanting. Alright, so now we'll be moving on to my older OCs. This, I think, is going to be the last batch of older OCs, but yeah, I think these ones are pretty fun. So Plummet is a dragon, and she, I believe, was a pirate? She was another one of those obligatory edgy OCs that we all had, and I really loved her design as a kid, and I had so much fun drawing her back then. This was during my dragon drawing phase, and she was the centerpiece. I don't really remember how she relates to the main story that I was sort of making for these characters. I know I had a ton of other dragon OCs and other old OCs in general that I just didn't have enough time to draw, and I didn't think that I would be able to talk about them, because they're old. I barely remember their story, and yeah, that's a lot. If I remember correctly, I probably had at least 10 non-dragon OCs that were just forest animals. And then of dragons, I don't even want to think about it. Too many. So that reason, and the fact that I also just lost a lot of old art, so I don't even have some of the older designs, which, that's unfortunate. Alright, so Kayla. Kayla was a fun character. She was a cheetah, but with wings, because of course she had to have wings. I was so obsessed with cheetahs, which you can probably see the after effects of that on my channel. So yeah, she was just a fun character to have around. So in Kayla's world, if I remember correctly, they had this job thing called a messenger. And if you were a messenger, you got to carry important messages from place to place and from the palace to the rest of the realm and they got like these cool lantern things. And Kayla, she was the main character of the loose story thing I had going on. And I just love to draw her. It was either her or dragons pretty much. I was kind of nervous about this drawing because it's been a really long time since I've drawn an animal as the main focus, but I think it turned out pretty good. It's kind of funny to think about like how my younger self would look at my art now. I think that younger me would be pretty excited to see what I've been doing recently. Ivan. Okay, this one's gonna be quick. I didn't have much of a story for this guy. I'm pretty sure I just drew this design like once or twice, and I didn't actually have a story for him. But I still think the design is pretty cool. Like, it's just a mossy forest deer. Like, that's fun. So I decided to draw him. So he doesn't really count as an OC, but I don't know. I just wanted to draw him, I guess. And I felt kind of bad that I wasn't able to draw a lot of my older OCs. Something funny about this one is that I didn't draw the ears for Ivan in the old drawings of him, which I am 110% sure that wasn't on purpose, but I guess younger me just felt that I couldn't have antlers and ears on the head. That's just too much. Alright, and last OC here. Vorpin was Kayla's best friend and sort of rival. She as well wanted to be a messenger, don't ask me why that job was so sought after, and would compete with Kayla to see who could do things like the runs and the exercises and the courses, just see who could do them the best. I think that the design is still pretty fun, and the art was nice and simple. Again, I was a little nervous with drawing an animal, but I think it's alright. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I will hopefully have the next video in the series out next week, and the previous episodes will be linked below. If you're interested in seeing more of my art, then you can go check out my Instagram. I try and post there semi-often, and hey, more of my OCs, which if you've made it this far, you may be interested. Fun fact, I'm done with all of the art by the time of recording this. It took me a bit to get the motivation to record, and since then I have made at least 6 OCs. Alright, that's about it. Bye!